Hello, so this is the newest project, or it's kind of a preview of my new project that's a work in progress. And what it is it's an LLM evaluation platform. So when you are looking to employ these large language models into some kind of system that you're designing, or you have some kind of use case, because there's such a vast number of large language models that exist, you need some kind of way to, I guess, benchmark them or some kind of way to determine how well they're performing. So, what I've created is a platform that allows you to do that. So you can create experiments um, to experiments that have unique models for them. So I can say this experiment is test with Claude 3.5 Sonnet, for example, and I'll make the system prompt, you are a helpful assistant. And then I can select a model from a drop-down menu, and each experiment has some set of test cases. And what these test cases are is kind of a user message that you send, so something like hello, and an expected output. So the expected output could be something like hello, how are you? This is kind of an unlikely response. And then there's different graders that you can choose. So you can choose, say, partial matching, and then you can create it, and then you are now in your test with Claude 3.5 Sonnet experiment. And then you can, and let's create another experiment, why don't we? So we can call this a test with Llama 3.1. And once again, we'll do the same thing. You are a helpful assistant. It's kind of like your lorem ipsum of system prompts. And let's add another one. So what is the capital of Canada, for example? And so you can say the expected output is Ottawa. And let's use the least helpful grader, which is the exact grader. And what it does is if the output of the model does not exactly match the expected output, then the test will fail. So if I go to run the experiment, then it will fail inevitably because is it an exact match? No. So you can see the actual model's response over here, and it's the capital of Canada is Ottawa, which obviously doesn't match the expected output, so the test will fail. So let's add another test case. Let's use the exact same thing, um, and let's use a different grader. Let's use the partial grader. For example, let's give a bit better of an expected response. The capital is Ottawa. Let's let's add this test case, and then let's run the experiment and just give it a minute. So the test actually passed. So what is this partial matching grader? So the metrics that it outputs, so the metrics that are shown depend on the grader. So for this exact grader, the only thing that's going to be shown is an exact match. Do they match, yes or no? And down here in this partial grader, it's only going to show the partial score and this distance. I'll explain what this distance is in a second. So the partial score is 75%, and the threshold to actually pass a test is 70%. So 75 is greater than 70, so this would be marked as a pass. And what is this distance? So this distance is computed using something called the Levenstein distance, which is kind of a way to determine how far away two strings are from each other, or how similar they are, I guess. So a Levenstein distance of 0 would indicate that these strings are exactly the same. The strings aren't exactly the same. They're very, very, very close, just off by, just a couple words and some punctuation. So the score is very high, or the distance is very low relative to what other distances are. So let's add another test case, and let's use the exact same prompt. I like this prompt. And let's use my favorite one, which is LLM matching. And let's run this test and just give it a second. And so as we can see, this one also passes. So LLM matching returns a similarity score and a reasoning. So the similarity between these two strings was given as a 90. So the similarity between this string and this string was given as 90. And then I use an ensemble technique to actually determine it. I'll go into the code right here, and it seems like my ensemble technique uses Llama 3.1, Llama 3.3, and Claude V1. I believe I also have OpenAI's ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo in there. So I give a system prompt to those four models saying you are supposed to evaluate how good this output is given this expected output. And what you're seeing here is the metric is kind of like almost like an average of those results. And this is the best one, in my opinion, because it can not only can it actually evaluate the output, but it can evaluate kind of the sentiment of the output. So if I want to add another test case and I want to say hello there and have the expected output be hello, how can I assist you? And so go and set it to LLM matching, and I'll add that as a test case and I'll run it. And what I mean by the sentiment is um, it has like it's less, for example, here it's less direct, and it can evaluate kind of the mood of a response, whether you're trying to go for a more friendly like a more friendly response or more direct, more indirect. That's possible through this LLM matching grader. And yeah, and it's a very useful thing that kind of solves a problem that most people don't realize they have. And it was very fun. It's a work in progress. I'm looking into creating a thing where you can compare them. So I mentioned a benchmark earlier. What I mean by that is selecting a model that you tested and its results, like its average response time, its average score, for example, and using that as a benchmark to compare other models to it to see, oh, this model has on average a higher response time than this model. So kind of a way to really help you nail what kind of models would fit best in your use case. So yeah, that's the project, and thank you for watching.